It's 2026, and we are still getting pandemic movies. Not movies that were shot during the pandemic, but movies that are pandemic movies where you have a limited location and clearly someone has some thoughts about being kept inside for long periods of time. And in this one, I'm convinced that the person who was trapped inside during the pandemic had only one DVD in their collection and they watched it. And it was The Happening. And on behalf of M. Night Shyamalan, I'd like to say I'm sorry. But also, I'd also like to say I'm sorry to M. Night Shyamalan because now I've seen this film and The Happening is better. This is The Last House, which stars Wagner Mora, Greta Lee, and is directed by Louis Leterrier, the guy who brought us Now You See Me, Incredible Hulk, the first two Transporter movies, and most recently, Fast X. Yeah, now you're getting it. It does have audio description from International Digital Center narrated by Jamie Lemcheck, and I appreciated the audio description, especially considering this movie goes places in the in the third act of the movie. Um, so what is The Last House? If you don't know anything about it, it's really easy to start thinking, wait, did Netflix just rip off their own movie Brick, which they acquired, which I understand was not originally in the English language, so it's easy to sort of do that. They did it with Ladies First, was a remake of a French language Netflix movie that they just flipped around and gave to Sacha Baron Cohen. So very well could have just been Brick, but no, it's not. It's far weirder and worse than Brick. So we have a family that's kept inside, mom, dad, two kids. Wagner Mora obviously is the dad. Greta Lee is obviously the mom. They have two kids uh, who are going to change as the movie rolls along. I just say that. So whatever. They have two kids, a son and a daughter, Ruby and Graham, and they have a dog. Forgot the name of the dog. I'm not really sure it's important, but it is at the end because they have a nice callback to it. I'll say that. So yeah, totally forgetting the name of the dog while you're watching the movie it misses the payback of knowing the name of the dog in the movie within the context of the movie. But later on, it does not matter. I mean, anyway. So this movie is, you know what? A friend of mine, day and date when this thing came out, I saw it, and I know somebody who like was really into like science fiction movies. And I said, "Oh, by the way, there's a new movie on Netflix, The Last House, and it's right up your alley." And I was like, I don't know that it's good, but I don't know that matters for you. One of those people who just likes all kinds of sci-fi, like good, bad sci-fi. And he's like, well, what's the Mac the Movie Guy review? And I said, interesting nonsense. I mean, this is. I see people who keep acknowledging that the film doesn't make any sense and that the suspension of disbelief has never been asked to more of an audience before. And they're like, but it's good. It's a good Netflix movie. I'm like, is it? I felt like the house was like the room of requirement. Like they kept going, they kept like needing things. There were so many times in this movie. It's like, how are they doing this? Oh God. Anyway, so imagine one day that your family wakes up and finds they can't leave their house and you're trapped with whatever you have inside the house at the time. Okay, well, I guess you have to if your mom and dad are Wagner Moore and Greta Lee, you'll be fine because they have all sorts of random shit in this house. I mean, considering they can't go outside and have no access, lots of things happen over the course of the movie in their survival. I have to say, at the beginning, there's not nearly enough panic, and I understand that they can do the whole like, well, let's not in front of the kids. Yeah, there's no real attempt in the bedroom to show Wagner and Greta freaking out that their front door doesn't open. Like there's an invisible force field around their house that's holding them in. I feel like this is not an appropriate reaction to that. Like, if I couldn't get out of my house and I didn't know why, and then I realized through looking through the windows that, like, no one could get out of their house, I would be like, "What the fuck is going on?" You know? And they're just kinda like, "I don't know. You know what? It's probably not human. It's probably aliens." Oh, well, that's not scary at all. Let's let's keep our chill attitudes, guys. Let's keep it on the DL. Then wouldn't want to upset the kids who are obviously probably thinking the same thing, especially your older kid. Anyway, so there's a motif that recurs where it like rains at a certain time every day, and then they start being able to see things in the rain. It's going to barrel towards a absolutely bizarre third act. It's just, but I knew it was coming because the film has such a weird opening to it. Like if you read the plot description for the movie, you're not really prepared for the first like minute to 2 minutes of the film before we get to meet Wagner Mora and Greta Lee's family. And it focuses a lot on, there's a quote from Arthur C. Clarke. I believe that's the right author that I'm attributing it to. If not, I apologize. It's another sci-fi author. But he's like, the audacity of us to name it Earth when it clearly should be named Ocean. Like, come on. Like, do I just watch too many movies, or am I tipping the hat? So it's like raining outside, right? But I have questions. So, like, where do the animals go? Because the animals are shown clearly being able to like walk around, and they don't seem to be afraid of the things that are coming after and holding humans in place. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's clearly targeting humans. Because there's a wolf that just keeps like walking up to the house and staring at Wagner Mora and like walking away. I'm like, is it a metaphor? What are we doing with this wolf? So, but there are animals later on, because there's a massive passage of time as this movie goes on, so you will see more animals. And if you're uncomfortable with the death of animals, this is not your movie, just flat out, not your movie. There's the website doesthedogdie.com usually will let you know what happens to animals for people who are uncomfortable with those kind of things, and I would imagine there's quite an entry on this movie. So yeah, I don't even know where to start sometimes. I just keep thinking of things. I'm like, I should go in chronological order, but I really want to talk about this. There's a scene where halfway through the movie, Wagner Mora starts working on his car. And remember, they can't go outside, right? They're trapped inside. So so he starts his car and starts running. I was like, yeah, I guess carbon monoxide poisoning isn't a problem. So, oh, and it's an older car too, so it's not even like you can make that argument because he's like, well, he got the battery charged for his electric vehicle. No, nope. He's pumping gas, but we're just not gonna bring it up. We're just not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna move on. Some of the things that they have in this house that become useful are utterly strange for people to have. They have silks. If you don't know what those are, if you're an aerialist, you have silks, and it's what you hang from ceilings from. So they have those because everyone has those. I have them, don't you? We all have them. And they happen to have a handy little design to their home where they can loop it over part of their thing and work on aerialist stunts. But that's not why they have it. They have it because the film functionally needs them to have silks for things they're going to do later in the movie. Dad also mentions that he used to have a fishing boat, right? But he had to get rid of it because kids are expensive. But he still has the harpoon gun. The fuck are you doing with a harpoon gun? Like, for what? You're on land. He couldn't get rid of the harpoon gun? What is he trying to harpoon? Just in case, you never know. um, he also just out of sheer convenience, by the way, just happens to have acquired a firearm so that he could feel safe at home. And she's like, "Do you feel safe now?" His wife just finds out like right after they get trapped inside. He's like, "Well, I've got this." She's like, "When did you buy a gun?" "I just did." Well, that's handy. Oh, um, what else in this movie? She, so mom becomes, has a really good green thumb throughout the movie. I'm not really sure how she knew how to do this or where she got the seeds from or the dirt, but sure. Because they can't go outside, so I don't know where they got the dirt from to be able to populate a garden. Things that you think about later on. Oh God. Anyway, I'm just trying to. There's so many little things along the way. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is later on in a flooded house sequence. They only have a two-story house, and there's one time where Graham does the "hold my beer, dad" thing. Yeah, I got this. And he dives from the second floor to the first floor, like just into the water. I'm like, it's not that deep, bro. This is your house. Like, be a little bit more careful about what you're diving into. His head hits like a chair or a table, and he dies. I just, oh, I should say spoilers, but I'm giving you all of these things out of context. So but the next one would be, God, I really want to talk about it because it made no sense whatsoever. There's a convenience. I would say there's a convenience. For those of you who have seen the movie, there's a convenience where they use something that they find that they're able to remove from their home that creates an opening, if that makes any sense to you. And they don't do a great job of explaining on the other end how the opening was created. But yet, said character has no problem coming up on the other end like a Mario. Boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, we saw what you had to go through to create the hole. Theretofore, how did it get created on the other side? Anyway, yeah, this film is weird. This film is, is it interesting? Sure. I mean, when you're watching a family trying to deal with, the inability to go outside for long periods of time and the creepy stuff, which is far better left unseen. Oh my God, when this film finally is like, guess what's behind door number 2? You're like, God damn it. Is that it? Seriously? That's what's. And then I'm like, okay, so the rain comes, and then it goes away. So, do they? And then they come back? Do they control the rain now? And then they, and they leave and they come back? And then the ending of the film is just so weird. It's so weird. Not just like the reveal of like what it is that's containing them, but like how they choose to end the film is just kind of like I don't know. Netflix has had some weird shit on their service before that has been sort of hard to fight for. There was that Julia Roberts, Sterling K. Brown movie where they're all like living in the same house at the end of days. That had, people were like, oh, well, this is an unbelievable experience. For everyone who's like, yes, The Last House is unbelievable but entertaining, I'm like, then why did you trash the other movies? Like, how did you feel about White Noise? Like, where was your thought on White Noise? Like, where was your thought on the other movie? Did you like Brick? You know, I mean, you can't like hate all of those other movies and then be like, well, this movie is great because it makes absolutely no sense and is just because I checked my brain, I literally lobotomized myself to get through the movie. I enjoyed it. Well, if you have no brain, you can enjoy anything. Uh, so, yeah, this is in no way whatsoever could I ever give this a ringing full out endorsement. It's always going to come with a caveat of this is one of the most nonsensical movies I think I've ever seen in my life. In my life. I think I just every 5 seconds I kept finding something. I was like, where did you get that from? Where did that come from? How do you know how to do that? Where did that happen from? Everything is a convenience. It is really, it's like they're trapped in the room of requirement from Harry Potter. It really is. They're just like, oh, well, I guess I know how to do this now, or I got this, or we happen to have this inside the house. Where did it come from? I don't know. Um, a lot of it is also just the world around them too. Like they're, like Wagner points out, he's like, well, right now we have electricity and gas and water, and we don't know how long we're going to have those things. It's like until the movie doesn't want you to have them anymore. It doesn't really make any sense why you have them or why you don't have them or when it takes them away or when you don't have them. So I guess the answer is when the movie doesn't want you to have them anymore. Uh, I I need like heavy conversations with people who thought this up because is there a great idea here? There isn't one that we haven't seen before. It's just been it's been like flipped around and thrown into the garbage chute and then crapped back out at us with this weird messaging of I don't know. I mentioned The Happening, and if you remember The Happening, I would apply that here heavily. That's all I gotta say. I would say The Happening feels very ever present in the reasoning behind things that are happening here. So I think it's happening twice. I didn't mean to. Wagner Mora is okay. I wish he took things a little bit more seriously in the beginning. I understand the whole like range of emotions, but it's that first like there's a beginning to it, right? Where you can't get out, you can't open the door. And I feel like that part of it was just like the first realization of I'm trapped inside my house was very laissez-faire. It was very just sort of like, well, I guess we can open the door when we can open the door. Why fret about it? Nothing we can change. Like, really? That's a that's a soft take on this movie. I would have appreciated more, and then the conversation about not in front of the kids. Let's not worry the kids, not freak the kids out. It's all in how you write the scene. But no, instead they just decided to write it with them being sort of passive from the very beginning. Almost to the point where I was wondering if these people were human, like if this was just some sort of like AI model that had been created. I was like, humans wouldn't react like this. Uh, so, and then Wagner's performance gets good for a while there, but Greta never evolves. Like Greta Lee is horribly miscast here. I don't even know if she wants to be in the movie. Uh, I think she started realizing around her, she was like, "Oh God, what did I get myself into?" And it's like you're in a movie from the guy who just directed Fast X. I'm sorry, this is on you. Like you're the one who signed on to a movie directed by the guy who just directed Fast X. I'm sure you had access to watching Fast X. So if Greta Lee is trying to work with the top directors in Hollywood, Louis Leterrier used to be decent. I'm not really sure he is anymore. This is one of those cases. I kind of knew that. That was the thing. I could have requested a screener for this and seen this early, but I feel bad requesting screeners from Netflix for films that I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna like because I don't want to just keep requesting things and be like rotten, 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 like every single week that they release a movie. And I was excited to see Wagner Moore and Greta Lee. I was like, oh man, that's a great combination. This movie might actually be good. And it was like directed by Louis Leterrier. And I was like, oh, God. Well, it's a wait and see then, because he does have some movies on his resume that I like. I actually really like Now You See Me, and I have a review of it on my channel. I like the first Transporter movie. The Incredible Hulk's not bad. So he does have a couple of movies on there. I did not like Clash of the Titans. I did not like Fast X. So he has some other movies that I've never heard of, but on his thing as well, that I'm assuming just kind of went straight to video. But so, should you see this film? If you're blind and low vision, the audio description is great. Jamie Lemcheck does a great job. There's a little bit of creature feature stuff here. I'll just use that broadly, of stuff that has no basis in reality and therefore needs a greater depth of description, because it's not something that we actually have in our purview. Now, the only thing with that is, and I kick it back to the writer. To be fair, I've never heard of the writer before. So one of the things that is oftentimes hard to do in fantasy sci-fi elements is size relativity. It's something that gets lost far too many times. And I have no idea how big anything is in this. It seems like they're like the size in here fluctuates as needed. Um, and I, based on audio description, I never would have been able to tell you how big these things are that are in the film. So size relativity is a thing that I would say, if I'm thinking about audio, the best audio description tracks of the year, the lack of it, and what I'm saying in size relativity is oftentimes it's really good if you can compare it to something that is that what we know. So, for example, if I say, let's pick something that's not in this movie. Chewbacca is in this movie, right? And you're like, well, what is a Chewbacca? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, Chewbacca stands, his head reaches just above the door frame, so he has to duck to enter. Gives me an idea of how tall he is. You know what I'm saying? Because we know what an average door frame is. Like, so you can, as a blind person, you have context. There really isn't any of that. These things just kind of exist, and they could be any size. So, while I love Jamie's narration, because I think she handles it beautifully, Jamie is such a utilitarian narrator. There are a couple of narrators out there that seem just really broadly good. They're not great for the most specific things, but yet they seem like they can cover like 90% of audio description, which is kind of crazy. I don't know, like, for example, I don't know that I would want Jamie on like Terrifier. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that kind of film, you need a darker, more horror leaning voice. Although Jamie's also done like Frankenstein. So, and I didn't have a problem with it. So it just depends on what kind of horror you're leaning to. Frankenstein was more like a story. So I love Jamie as a narrator, and I think she's one of the most accessible, broad narrators whose voice and the way that she emotes and stuff really puts her eligible for a lot of different styles. And so if you're blind and low vision, audio description is fine. If you're sighted and you want to see this, sure, whatever. I guess some people are really enjoying it, and they're also giving it a huge pass, but it's hard to give this movie a huge pass. I mean, there are themes here where it's like, we got to protect our house against all costs. Well, we'll just let them destroy the house, and then, you know, we can, we'll live under the invisible bubble. I don't know. I mean, like, they have like conflicting, changing things and ideas, and because the thing that's keeping them there doesn't talk or ever talk, you never really know why anything was. There's never really like an ending agreement to anything. There's never anything like, well, that was the day that we learned to love. You know, there's isn't really any of that. There's a little bit of violence and some, I'll go with gore. There's some There's some stuff that might trouble little kids here. I wouldn't necessarily. I would treat it as a pretty hard PG-13. There's some reference to the sex drawer that the parents have, um, for and some mentions of things like lube, which would be interesting if they found a way to use that. I don't know. They did make a Molotov cocktail at a time when they shouldn't have been able to, and I don't really understand how they made it, but that's again goes to the room of requirement where they're like, oh, our daughter's just making a Molotov cocktail. I don't know how she did it, but cool. It's cool to look at. You know, it's a fun experience. It's one of those things that everybody can make at home, especially on dwindling resources. So, um, yeah, I'm not fresh on this, by the way, in case you couldn't pick up. I think this movie is silly. I think it's nonsense. I think it's interesting, but I think it's nonsense. And I think there wasn't much of an effort to try to make it anything but. I think this is one of those films where they're really hoping you'll check your brain at the door. And it's like, sure. Like, there are elements of that where the action sequences, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, but it looks really cool and it's kind of fun. And well, okay, yeah, there's a check, but the whole movie, I feel like you have it in little things, things that you could have introduced into the plot to explain why certain things are here and explain what people's experiences are and what they learned and what they know that make these situations okay, um, and why this family has seemingly everything that they need except the things that they don't to further the plot. So it's just it's a matter of convenience. The whole thing, everything is just, do we need this? Yep. Well, it's here. Okay, we'll use it. I honestly, they could have, I think at one point in the film, they were driving scooters through the house. And I'm like, okay, they never use them again. They're riding scooters through the house, but they don't become a plot. It's just part of the thing of well, we have these things, so why not use them? Why do you have all this shit in your house? Oh, The Last House. I'm sorry. A couple of good performances might have been a good idea here. Most of this doesn't work. I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 10. It's rotten. I can't. I literally can't with this movie. I'm a pretty kind critic. I think if you go to the tomato meter, I'm pretty certain if it has a thing there where it shows like how many freshes and rottens, I have more freshes than rottens. I can't with this movie. And the whole time I just kept watching it going, what? What are you doing? Why? Where did that come from? What are you, at a certain point, my brain comes back from being checked. Like, that can only be extended just so far. And I feel like I was being asked to be lobotomized, which is a completely different thing than just kind of like accepting a few, conveniences, like just a little bit, like, well, that wouldn't have happened, but okay, whatever. In and of itself, the premise is already a leap that I have to take. For me to have to take everything else along with it is is just kind of lazy writing. At the end of the day, it's the screenplay that fails. It's not my inability to not see past all of these little things along the way. It's a screenplay that never really properly defines why anything is here or is supposed to be here. So I thought this one was hot garbage. I'm sorry. Buoyed by the fact that in general I like the cast except Greta Lee, who I like. I just don't like her in this. The kids are fine. Both every time the kids acted, they're fine. And Wagner, except for the fact I would have appreciated him to be a little bit more panicked at the beginning, good performance. So it's on Netflix. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.